Artworks is a proprietary limited company that undertakes heritage restoration work and sympathetic addition, mainly based on institutions, and occasionally we do domestic work for clients. The role is blacksmithing and metal casting, with an emphasis, I suppose, on architectural engineering. I think one of the really unique things about Eveleigh, for me working here, is that it's actually taught me about Victorian restoration work. I'm surrounded by the great design and the great names of the Victorian era. There's Naismith's classic double arch steam hammer. There's the Armstrong gland, you know. There's just so much history tied up in the actual building, and there's, you know, even the trusses. I mean, the roof structure is actually something I'm restoring now for a prefabricated building from 1866 that was brought out from England. So, you know, I don't need to sort of look in a book. I can actually look at the building and the surroundings to see how I'm supposed to do something today. This is really the great pinnacle of English engineering in a colonial situation. And you sort of see the bolt, the rivet, the castings, forgings being used in unison to make, you know, this outstanding sort of long-lasting contribution to our technology. We've always been really committed to having apprentices. I trained under my father, and that's how I learnt my skills. I think blacksmithing is really very much something of an oral learning process. The apprentices have been really the mainstay of our business. I just sort of see myself as a brain as opposed to a physical labourer. You know, I don't really get out on a forge very much these days. What time I do forge is to show people. That's, I think, what really my role is.
I've been working here for 4 years. The way I see it is, the longer I work here, the more I learn how to take on this business, as I'm a son and my dad is willing to give this business to me. I'm currently doing an engineering degree, which I'll incorporate into this business when I take it on. It's a great education for me to learn new skills which are very old and very unique, and really it's a one-off opportunity. For me, I think if the more I learn, the more likely I will be able to sustain this business when I get older. So, yeah.
I'm an apprentice blacksmith, and I really like the hands-on feel that we have. You know, forging, manipulating hot steel, creating things from one form and putting it into another. The advances in modern technology are good, but I believe keeping traditional methods, you know, not disregarding them, that means a lot to me.
Basically just finished my blacksmithing apprenticeship. It's 4 years. I've finished in January, so I've done about 6 months as a tradesman. I've got into it with the artistic side of things, so luckily we do the ornamental and all that sort of stuff. Mainly we're doing chandeliers, furniture, twisted ironwork, or government restoration, fixing up stuff that's already been done. Did the QE2 gates around the Opera House. There's a lot of landmarks that we've had to deal with.
It's just a great big Meccano set.
We've done quite a lot of restoration work in Sydney on the iron monuments of Sydney. The Queen Elizabeth II gates was one of our first major heritage restoration projects, and required about 20% of new components to replace those that had been corroded away from the salt water. We did the Dawes Point Balustrade Stage 2 program, the restoration of 165 metres of 1912 balustrading that was significantly corroded and in poor repair. So it was a very extensive restoration in terms of integrity, wanting a long-term result, and I think they certainly got it. This forms part of the crest on top of the Queen Elizabeth II gates, and there's one of these, and then there's another spike with acanthanthus leaves done in repoussage. It's made out of 5 individual pieces of iron, and that's not steel, it's wrought iron, and this was salvaged out of old buildings and from other works that we were doing at the time. But this took 2 weeks to perfect, to make the first one, and this is the first one. It never actually went into the project, and I thought it was just such a marvellous piece. We kept it, and it's to show the apprentices or people about what really wrought iron is.
In 1991, State Rail accepted a proposal from us to conduct our blacksmithing business from the pretty much abandoned bays here at Eveleigh. The agreement was that in exchange for running Wrought Artworks and using the facility and the equipment and the tools, we would make secure, stop vandalism, maintain the equipment and appeal to the heritage community. So it was very much a heritage site that had to be cared for and treated quite differently from a lot of other places, because not only was the building important, but what it housed was very important, the machinery and the collection and the assemblages, which are very rare and in fact incredibly unique. This is the oldest, largest collection of blacksmithing, steam-powered blacksmithing equipment remaining in the world. The current management, they don't seem to want to have any conference with us. They, in fact, have sent us a letter of eviction and terminating our time here, and this is what we're fighting against, because they have acted unconscionably and as if they haven't looked into the past or the history or the reason or the value of us being here.
Significant things that Wrought Artworks does is that it allows the Australian Technology Park to operate. After an extensive community consultation, it was decided that the 4 bays of heritage machinery would be consolidated to 2, and of those 2 would be operating workshop. The fact that a $600,000 acoustic wall was built and further anti-vibration matting was put under the floors in the adjacent bay was to accommodate the wishes of the community. Wrought Artworks has continued with the original development consent in operating the blacksmithing shop as part of the conditions of the site. What the current Redfern Waterloo Authority doesn't recognise is that there's any validity in that continuing. We are doing what we originally promised and what the community wanted us to do, which was to run the blacksmith shop. And we made a life around that. And if we go somewhere else, our lives will be completely different. Our workforce will dissipate, and the skills and the knowledge that we've built up won't be available to the community at large.